She's not pulling away because she feels nothing. She's pulling away because she feels too much. Listen to me carefully. When a woman starts acting distant, right after things felt electric, right after the laughs got deeper, the eye contact lasted longer, and the silence between you felt charged instead of awkward. That shift is not random, it's not confusion, and it's definitely not indifference, it's fear. Not fear of you as a man, but fear of what you represent. You see, when a woman begins to genuinely fall for you, her emotional world doesn't get lighter, it gets heavier. Attraction is fun, flirting is easy, but emotional attachment, that's risk, that's vulnerability, that's the possibility of loss. And most men misread this stage completely. You think, she was so into me last week. What changed? Nothing changed. That's the point. It got real. When feelings cross from playful curiosity into emotional investment, something shifts inside her nervous system. She becomes more aware, more cautious, more observant. She starts asking silent questions you can't hear. Is he consistent? Is he emotionally safe? Will he disappear once I open up? Am I about to give power to someone who hasn't earned it yet? And if she's been hurt before, which most adults have, those questions become louder. So she slows down. She texts a little less. She takes longer to reply. She seems busy. She pulls back just enough to regain control, not because she wants to lose you, but because she doesn't want to lose herself. Here's what most men don't understand. When a woman feels herself falling, she instinctively tests stability. Not with games, with distance. Distance reveals character. Will you panic? Will you become needy? Will you double text, demand reassurance, or act cold in return? Or will you stay grounded, calm, secure? When she creates space, she's watching who you become inside it. And if you react emotionally, if your energy shifts from confident to anxious, she doesn't feel safer. She feels confirmed in her fear. Strong feelings make a woman protective, not reckless. In the early stages, she can flirt without consequence. But when attachment begins forming, she evaluates everything: your tone, your patience, your emotional control, your consistency. She wants to know if the version of you she's falling for is stable or temporary. This is why some women seem warm one day and distant the next. It's not manipulation, it's internal conflict. Part of her wants to lean in. Another part whispers, slow down. Because once she truly likes you, she can get hurt. And understand this deeply. Women don't fear love. They fear misjudging character. When she senses she could care deeply, she becomes more strategic with her emotional investment. She doesn't want to give her heart to potential. She wants to give it to proven stability. That's why your reaction during her distance matters more than your charm during her closeness. Closeness is easy to handle. Distance is the real test. If you can remain calm, composed, and consistent, if you don't chase, beg, withdraw affection, or act offended, you signal something powerful. You are not emotionally controlled by temporary shifts. That steadiness is what allows her to feel safe coming closer again. So when she acts distant right after things felt intense, don't assume you're losing her. You might actually be entering the most important phase, because when a woman is falling, she doesn't run from you. She slows down to see if you're strong enough to stay. When she starts acting distant, your ego wants answers. But what she's actually looking for is emotional leadership. Most men respond to distance with insecurity disguised as strategy. They mirror her coldness, they reduce effort, they pretend they don't care. Or worse, they start overcompensating, flooding her with attention, trying to pull her back into the warmth that felt so good just days ago. But here's the truth: you were never told. The moment she feels herself falling for you, she becomes hyper-aware of imbalance, not power imbalance, emotional imbalance. If she senses she likes you more than you like her, she feels exposed. If she senses you like her more than she likes you, she feels pressured. So when feelings intensify, she instinctively recalibrates. Distance is recalibration. She's not disappearing. She's adjusting the emotional temperature. And what she needs from you in that moment isn't pursuit, it's stability. Think about this carefully. When a woman starts emotionally investing, her imagination activates. She's picturing possibilities, future conversations, deeper intimacy, maybe even scenarios she won't admit out loud. That kind of mental expansion makes her vulnerable because now she has something to lose. So she slows the pace to protect her heart from running too far ahead of reality. And if you panic during that slowdown, you unintentionally confirm her fear that things were moving too fast. Calm men pass this stage. Reactive men fail it. When she pulls back slightly, she's observing one thing above all else. Does he remain centered without constant validation? Because a man who requires constant reassurance becomes emotional work. And when feelings are just beginning to grow, emotional work feels risky. But a man who remains grounded, who doesn't demand explanation, who continues living his life fully without punishing her with silence or chasing her with desperation, that man feels safe. And safety is the gateway to deeper attraction. Here's something most men never realize. Distance often means she's thinking about you more, not less. But she's thinking critically now. She's replaying your words, your consistency, your tone shifts. She's evaluating patterns. Women don't fall through fantasy alone. They fall through pattern recognition. If your behavior remains steady while hers fluctuates, you demonstrate emotional maturity. If your mood rises and falls based on her texting speed, you demonstrate emotional dependency. And dependency kills long-term desire faster than rejection ever could. Understand this clearly. When she acts distant after growing closer, she is not challenging your worth. She is challenging your emotional regulation. Can you handle uncertainty without spiraling? Can you allow space without assuming abandonment? Can you stay confident without constant affirmation? These are not surface-level questions. They are subconscious filters, because attraction may start with chemistry, but it deepens with emotional security. And emotional security isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not reactive. It's quiet confidence. It's continuing your mission, your purpose, your routine. It's responding warmly, but not anxiously. It's giving her room to process without interpreting every delay as rejection. Distance, when handled correctly, becomes the bridge to deeper connection. Handled poorly, it becomes the exit. She doesn't need you to chase her feelings. She needs to see that you can handle yours. When she feels that, when she senses that your identity isn't shaken by temporary emotional shifts, she relaxes. And when a woman relaxes emotionally, she leans in again. But this time, she leans in deeper because now she knows you're not just attractive, you're stable. And stability is what turns attraction into attachment. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. The distance she creates isn't just about her feelings, it's also about exposing yours. When a woman begins falling for you, she doesn't just evaluate how she feels. She evaluates how you handle not being in control. Because the early stage, the flirting, the momentum, the constant attention gives you a false sense of certainty. You feel wanted, you feel chosen, you feel secure. Then suddenly the rhythm changes and now you don't know. That uncertainty reveals everything about you. Do you become anxious? Do you overanalyze every message? Do you start crafting the perfect reply instead of speaking naturally? Do you check your phone more often than you'd like to admit? She may not see those exact behaviors, but she feels the energy shift. Women are deeply attuned to emotional pressure. The moment your attention turns from, I enjoy her to I need her reassurance, the dynamic subtly changes, and when she feels that pressure while she's still processing her own growing feelings, she instinctively pulls back further, not to punish you, but to breathe. Understand something powerful. When she starts falling, her independence feels threatened, not by you personally, but by the vulnerability attachment creates. She asks herself, am I losing my balance? So she creates space to regain it. If you respect that space internally, not by pretending you don't care, but by genuinely remaining secure, she regains balance faster. But if you react by chasing control, you unintentionally confirm that closeness with you equals emotional instability, and that's what she's trying to avoid. Most men think attraction is about escalation, but emotional depth is about containment. Can you contain your desire without letting it control your behavior? Can you appreciate her without clinging to her responses? Can you let a conversation breathe without forcing momentum? This is where emotional strength separates boys from men, because when she senses that you're unaffected by temporary shifts, Not cold, not detached, just steady. She relaxes. She thinks, he's not panicking, he's not punishing me, he's not trying to control this. And that thought lowers her defenses. You see, distance isn't always withdrawal. Sometimes it's her watching to see if you'll collapse under ambiguity. Attraction is amplified by emotional self-control. The man who remains calm during uncertainty becomes magnetic. Not because he ignores her, not because he plays games, but because his emotional state isn't dictated by her behavior. And that signals abundance. It signals confidence. It signals that you choose her. You don't need her to validate you. There's a massive difference. When she feels herself falling, she subconsciously wonders, if I give him more of me, will he still be grounded? Your reaction to her distance answers that question. If you stay warm but composed, if you continue progressing in your life, if you allow her space without tension, you create emotional safety. And here's the paradox. Most men never understand. The less you try to close the distance, the faster she closes it herself because now she doesn't feel chased. She feels secure, and security allows her to fall without fear. So when she acts distant after things felt intense, don't rush to fix it. Stability is the fix. Your calm presence is the reassurance. And when she sees that closeness with you doesn't create chaos, it creates peace. She stops stepping back. She steps forward. Not because you forced it, but because she finally feels safe enough to continue falling. Now let me tell you the part most men never hear. When she starts acting distant, she is not only measuring your stability, she is measuring your standards. Because here's the hidden truth. When a woman begins to fall, she becomes afraid of losing leverage. In the beginning, attraction feels balanced. Both of you are curious. Both of you are exploring. But the moment she senses her emotions deepening, she wonders, do I like him more than he likes me? And if she feels she does, even slightly, she pulls back, not to manipulate you, but to restore equilibrium. Attraction thrives on mutual investment. If she senses she's emotionally ahead, she slows herself down. She watches your effort. She observes your consistency. She wants to know if you are choosing her with intention, not just enjoying her attention. This is where weak reactions destroy potential. If you chase harder when she steps back, you confirm imbalance. If you withdraw completely to teach her a lesson, you confirm immaturity. If you become cold and distant in retaliation, you confirm fragility. But if you remain consistent, not increasing effort to compensate, not decreasing effort to punish, you communicate something rare. You are steady because you have standards. Women don't fall deeply for men who orbit them. They fall for men who have direction. When she senses that your life continues smoothly, regardless of small emotional fluctuations, something shifts in her perception. You stop feeling like a momentary thrill and start feeling like a grounded presence. And grounded presence is powerful. Here's another layer most men overlook. Distance gives her room to imagine losing you. When you don't panic, when you don't flood her with attention, when you respond calmly and continue leading your life, she starts wondering, what is he doing right now? Is he thinking about me? Is he talking to someone else? That subtle uncertainty doesn't push her away. It activates her investment. Because humans value what feels steady, yet not desperate. The moment she realizes you're not clinging, she feels safer leaning in again, because now she knows you're not choosing her out of scarcity. You're choosing her because you want to. That distinction changes everything. Scarcity energy says, please don't leave. Confidence says, I enjoy you, but I am whole without you. And when she's falling, she needs to know that if she gives you her heart, she's not stepping into emotional chaos. She's stepping into emotional strength. Distance tests strength, not physical strength, not financial strength, emotional strength. Can you handle silence without filling it with anxiety? Can you handle slower replies without assuming betrayal? Can you maintain respect without demanding constant validation? This is where many men lose women who are actually beginning to fall because they misinterpret distance as rejection. Instead of recognizing it as a filter, she is filtering for stability. And here's the irony. When you pass this filter, she doesn't just return to the previous level of closeness. She comes back softer, more open, more invested because now she knows something important. You don't crumble when things get uncertain, and uncertainty is part of every real relationship. So when she creates space while falling for you, don't rush to close it. Stand firm, stay warm, keep your pace. Let her see that being close to you doesn't mean losing herself. It means feeling safe enough to fall without fear. And once she feels that safety, she stops pulling away. She starts moving toward you with intention. Now listen closely because this is where everything comes together. When she's falling for you and acting distant, it's not a problem to solve. It's a doorway. Most men try to manage the situation. They strategize, calculate, adjust their texting frequency, rehearse conversations in their heads. They think, attraction is something you control with tactics. But the truth is heavier than that. This moment isn't about strategy. It's about who you are when you don't have reassurance. Because when she pulls back while falling, she is silently asking one final question. If I give this man my heart, will he remain solid when things aren't perfect? Real relationships are not constant intensity. They are cycles, closeness and space, passion and quiet, certainty and doubt. If you cannot handle a small wave of distance now, how would you handle real conflict later? She is evaluating long-term safety, and safety is built on emotional discipline. Discipline is not suppressing your feelings. It's not pretending you don't care. It's not playing hard to get. It's caring deeply without losing control of yourself. That balance is rare. When she feels you're emotionally disciplined, something profound happens inside her. Her nervous system calms down. The part of her that wanted to slow things down no longer feels the need to protect as aggressively because now she senses that closeness with you won't spiral into chaos. She realizes she can fall without being chased. She can lean in without being consumed. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop trying to secure her, you become secure. And that security is what allows her to fully attach. You don't win her by reacting to distance. You win her by transcending it, by understanding that if she is truly falling, she will circle back, not because you demanded it, but because you made it safe. Safe does not mean boring. Safe means stable. Safe means consistent. Safe means you are the same grounded man. Whether she texts in 5 minutes or 5 hours, that emotional consistency builds trust at a subconscious level. And trust is the foundation of love. When she feels that foundation, the distance fades naturally. Conversations deepen again. Her warmth returns, but this time it carries more intention because now she's not just attracted, she's choosing. And a woman who chooses you after testing your stability is far more invested than one who never tested you at all. So the next time she feels intense, then slightly distant, don't panic, smile internally. It means things are getting real. Now I want you to be honest with yourself. When she pulls back, do you react from confidence or from fear? Are you choosing her because you genuinely value her or because you're afraid of losing validation? Tell me in the comments when someone you liked created distance. Did you stay steady or did you spiral? Type steady if you've mastered emotional control. Type working on it if you're building it. And if this opened your eyes like the video, subscribe to the channel and share this with a brother who needs to hear it before he ruins something real. Because the strongest position you can ever stand in is calm when emotions rise.